Can Bitcoin go to $125,000 this year? Technicals and the fundamentals are saying yes. Let's dive into that. And also, if Bitcoin is actually the best place to be, because if Bitcoin goes up like that much, what could other coins do? So let's jump into that. Welcome to the Fomo Factory. Like the video, subscribe to the channel, turn the bell notification on. There's a Patreon down below, you know how it goes. Exclusive content, one-on-one calls, you name it, it's there. Now, it's the halving year. And the halving year is the year where Bitcoin gets halved. And not in the sense that it's going to $21,000. Although in the halving year, we also usually first see Bitcoin go down before it actually goes up. But so far, so good. I mean, yes, we have a good pullback right now. Bitcoin is sitting at $42,800, which seems like, oh, we had such a big pullback. On the other hand, we went all the way up to $49,000, which was a very short-lived wick. And now we are back at almost the yearly open. So for this year, nothing has really changed that much. What I find interesting is to not, save this for the end of the video and etc. What I've looked at are the other halving years, right? So we have the halving coming in around April, May, maybe. The halvings are the white lines. So I looked at like, hey, the halving years, how much did Bitcoin gain? I mean, Bitcoin is only a couple of years old, right? So we do not have a lot of data. So what I'm going to tell right now is based on everything we have, but everything we have is not that much yet, right? So, of course, this time could be different. So far, not a single time was different. So I'm not counting on that necessarily. But let's take a look at that. So this year is the halving year, just like 2020. So 2020, Bitcoin, as you can see right here at the top, 2020, Bitcoin went up with 303% from open to close. It's not bad. Then we have 2016. In 2016, Bitcoin went up with 125%, which is also definitely not bad. And then we have 2012, where Bitcoin went up with 184%. Okay, so if you take an average of those numbers, it's 205%. All right, so from the open, 205% up, and the open was kind of sitting at this level. 205% up is, well, let's call it 203. $129,000. So let's say $130,000. Again, this is not me predicting that this is going to happen this year. I don't know, right? But the average move is this. If Bitcoin does what it does on average, then we should see 130K. Now, the thing about averages is you can do more and less, right? So, hey, if we take this, well, we should be fine. So 130K this year, right? I'm not talking about the end of the bull run. I'm talking about this year. The end of the bull run should be way more interesting. And yeah, I'm a big long-term Bitcoin bull, as you may know. And I see price predictions from people saying, it just goes to 80K. And I'll be like, that's like not a lot, to be really honest. I think it could go way higher than that. But yeah, now that's for a different video. But the averages say 130K this year. Okay, but we can also do worse than average, of course, right? So again, every halving year, 184%, 125%, and 303%. Okay, so even if we don't do as great as the average and we do just as bad as the worst halving year so far, it would mean 125%. Okay, well, 125% from this point is $96,000. So that would be it could go lower than that, but that would be the worst case scenario of what so far has always played out, right? what's interesting that this diminishing returns aren't really here, right? If you look at 2012, 184. Again, if you look at 2016, 125, so it was lower. But again, if you look at 2020, it was 303%. That was the highest. So that doesn't seem that diminishing to me. Overall, the returns are diminishing, but not for these halving years necessarily. Now, what could be the reason that it does this? Well, one, the halving is what we have in the halving year. So that's one. The halving is always a great narrative. Two, elections coming up. Markets love elections, and they run hard on elections. So that's two. Three, rate cuts. Short term, last cycle we didn't respond that great to it. But long term, overall, rate cuts are very bullish for the markets. And then what else? Well, we have the Bitcoin ETFs right now, right? It's like, yeah, short term, hey, it was priced in. Okay, duh. We kind of expected that, probably, right? I mean, it was pumping hard in that news, and then the news came and it did like, it was priced in. But the money that's actually about to come into crypto is not priced in yet, right? That's just money that has to come in. And yeah, we also have the Ethereum ETF coming probably somewhere in May. That's the deadline. And the market loves to run on that as well. So the chart says, hey, the average is that we at least do a 2x from opening, right? At least. And the narratives back it up. If the narratives were really bearish, like, hey, it's not it's not the halving year. There are no elections. There is probably a recession coming, which could still happen, by the way. If it was all different, then I would say like, okay, charts versus narratives, but they now go hand in hand, and that's interesting. What does it mean for the altcoin market? Well, if we look at the Bitcoin dominance, what happened in these halving years? In 2020, the dominance, look here, 2020, the dominance, overall, that a huge wick, right? Huge wick. But from open to close, nothing really happened. And then in 2016, minus 3%, also nothing really happened. More information than that we don't have. That's all I can give you. Overall, Bitcoin, altcoins, I also expect an alt season to happen end of this year, beginning next year, somewhere around there, but not like halfway this year or something. It could happen, but again, chart-wise, yeah, it's unlikely. But who knows? If we do take a look at the altcoin market, this, by the way, the yearly charts, right? Halving year 2020, the altcoin market ran 319%. So give or take the same as Bitcoin. Right, and if we do take a look at 2016, it ran with 452%. So the altcoin market hasn't underperformed, at least. Then it's hard, right? Like, yeah, but which altcoins? Yeah, that's hard. Because you can take a look at risky altcoins, but if this only was green because some top 50 altcoins were running, yeah, too bad, right? But this is the others chart. This doesn't include Ethereum, Bitcoin, USDT, USDC, the big caps, the top 10. All right, so kind of altcoins overall, they do run kind of together with Bitcoin. You take a lot more risk. The returns are slightly higher. But then again, in the halving year, the risk is not that high as in the bear market because these altcoins have shown that they survived and they will probably run very well. So overall, I think this year is going to be super bullish. Does it mean we only go up? No, we don't only go up. Matter of fact, if you look at the first halving year, what happened? We opened this year at $4. Yeah, can you imagine? $4.71. And the low was $3.80. right? It doesn't sound like a big difference, but this was a drop of 20%, right? So 20% from open. If we do that right now, 20% from opening, that would put us at around $33,000. Again, but that's just a little wick, right? It's nothing else than just a little wick. 2016, what happens right there? 2016, we opened at $431, and the low was $354. Okay, so how much was that? Slightly less than 20%, I guess, but that's 18%. Also, kind of the same. Then we have 2020, and there was a black swan there. But hey, doesn't mean we cannot get one right now, right? These are all, eventually it all happened, right? 2020, we opened at $7,170. And we had the low of 39.41. So this was a wick of 45%. If we have that, and I don't expect that though, but hey, you never know, 45% could put Bitcoin around $23,000. So also the average between of the average of going down in this year, which is eventually just a big wick, right? Is between 23 and 33k. So let's say 28k. That would be the average, right? The average. So it all sounds like, oh yeah, it's not gonna happen because this, and this time is different because of this. But hey, you know, we're playing with numbers. We all don't know, I guess. It's all speculation, right? But if you do take a look, what's most realistic based on what happened so far is that Bitcoin somewhere this year goes down towards 28k and eventually goes up to 120k or 30. It sounds like, what the hell, that's a big range. That's a huge range. That doesn't happen. No, it's not crypto, right? Crypto is not that volatile. Like, yeah, well, it happened like every time before, right? So not ruling out that it cannot happen this time as well. So that's a possibility. Now, again, I want to make it very clear. These are averages, okay? So it could definitely be that Bitcoin just goes to 35k this time and maybe closes at 80k or something like that, whatever. It could also be that Bitcoin goes to 20k and closes at 260 for a matter of, like, we don't know, but this is what the averages say. And we'll see how this is going to play out. Now, do you have to be in Bitcoin or altcoins? Again, so far, what we have right now, it showed us that the returns are not that big of a difference. We all know that Bitcoin is lower risk. So overall, you would say like, yeah, it's better to be in Bitcoin. But if the market does turn really bullish, yeah, you don't want to like be too much in Bitcoin, because on the altcoin market, we all know that if the market is really bullish, there's a lot more money to be made. But it's hard, because if the market is really bearish, there's also a lot more money to be lost. Overall, I think this year is really good if we want to just DCA the dips, because overall, it turns out that at the end of the year, the market should look very, very, very bullish. If we do take a quick look at Ethereum, do we have a lot of information on? Yeah, it's where it came out. 2016, Ethereum was up 750%. 2020, Ethereum was up 473%. It was a lot newer, less liquidity. Of course, the gains were bigger. But yeah, it's still newer and less liquidity. So yeah, whatever. It might be a good time to maybe look at Ethereum now. Not because I would say like, hey, the chain, it's so fast and oh man, it's so cheap. But hey, it's the blue chip, man. Ethereum does what Ethereum does, no matter what, how broken the chain actually is. But as we see, Ethereum tends to outperform the other altcoins and Bitcoin in the halving years. And should we take a look for what to expect in 2025 as well? Now we're here. Let me see. So that lines up with 2021. Well, 2021 Bitcoin went up 60%. Okay, let's write it down. 60%. It's nothing too crazy, right? 2017 Bitcoin went up, wow, 1330%. 1330%. That was an absolute crazy year for Bitcoin. And then we have 2013, and there Bitcoin went up 5,380%. Okay, 5,380. Now what we can do is take an average out of those. And Bitcoin on average does a 23x post-halving year. Will that happen now as well? Well, here we do see diminishing returns. 5,000%, 1,300%, 60%. We have some catching up to do on this one. I think Bitcoin will do better than that. But to say like, hey, it's going up 2,200%, if that's the case and we close this year already at 120K and we make such a move, then it means that Bitcoin will be sitting at close to $3 million at the end of the bull run. Well, again, if it does happen, I'm not the one that said it wasn't possible. But let me also tell you that this is very unlikely to happen, and that probably nobody is expecting this right here, except Caddy Wood maybe, but she's a little moon girl. But that's what Bitcoin does post-halving years. Okay, so Bitcoin post-halving years just mega bullish. The altcoin market, same 2017, it went up with 17,000%, and 2021 it went up with 600%, almost the same. Overall, I think the coming 2 years are going to be incredibly bullish for Bitcoin and for altcoins, for crypto in general. Don't let the dips scare you off, because we can also take a look at the altcoin market right here. And we, for example, look in 2017, right? The market was really bullish, but look at the dips that we had in between. 63% down in the middle of 2 months. 2 months in a row, your portfolio gets cut in more than in half, right? 2 months in a row. Every day you wake up and you lose a little bit more money. For 2 months, it's hard to not give up then, right? Especially here when you did not have that much information like, oh yeah, the market is eventually going to go up, right? Again, 62%. And even these smaller ones here, 50%. Here we went down in a matter of a couple of weeks, 50%. These are 4 or 5 moves down of 50% plus in one single bull market, okay? We will probably see that now as well, something like that, okay? So Bitcoin is now going down a little bit and people are already stressing out. The altcoin market went down 10% so far. Can you imagine? 5 times, it was 5 times as bad, all right? And it still ended up being okay. So don't let some dips scare you off. Just look at the charts. I mean, altcoins, hey, we're sitting at big resistance. Do you imagine to just break it and go up only? Of course not. Let's retest this maybe first. And yeah, that would scare people a lot. Maybe we see another 22% correction on the altcoin market. Could be, let it happen, buy the dip. You will be fine if you're buying into the right projects. Now, tomorrow... tomorrow I'm gonna drop a video on what I think are the best projects to buy the dips on. So if you like that, like the video, subscribe to the channel, turn the bell notification on. Don't forget, I'm here every day. We're not going away. We're gonna make it big time in this market, and I cannot wait to just smile with everybody right here on cam in our own creative metaverse, drinking something. I don't know. I wanted to end up with a good joke, but